Hey, my Enchanted Peeps, I am back today with another Thoughtful Thursday. I know I was a little bit behind, but I'm back on track with the great work by Tiffany Lazick. I've just been busy on Thursdays I have belly dance classes after work, so which has been a lot of fun. So that's why I'm filming this morning. I'm being smart and preparing ahead. So I've been working with this through weeks 8, 9, and 10, and week 8 started with the week of Imbolc. And so for this, or it's the week after actually, so this one is working this cycle until spring equinox is working with the second chakra, the sacral chakra, working with water, working with the period of time when you're a young child. So when you're dealing with emotions. So pretty intense kind of stuff. So week 8 is called Elemental Reflection on Water and Active Reflection on Drumming. So water is the element associated with this chakra and with this time of the year. And so water has to do with emotions and how we flow in life and how flexible we are. And then drumming, because it has such a resonance, is also another thing to kind of think about at this time of year. So she asks questions like, where, what areas of your life do you try to control, and where do you flow? Where do you allow things to flow in your life? I'm not going to answer everything just because I limited time and space on the camera. So I'm just going to go through quickly this time, and hopefully next week have a little more time to talk about things. And then asking if, what's your rhythm in life, drumming and that kind of rhythm. Your relationship with bodies of water, how do they make you feel? And where in your life do you follow your own rhythm, and where have you lost yourself to other people's rhythms? So that's week 8. Week 9 is developmental reflection on preschool age and psychological reflection on feelings. So this is really talking about 3 to 6 years of age. So when you're young, and often that's when we're really forming our character and who we are. So it talks about connecting with your inner child. And connecting with our feelings. A lot of times we cut ourselves off from feelings we think are bad, and only allow ourselves to express feelings we think are good. And so it asks you, when you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up? What brought you joy when you were a kid? And were your hurts and fears supported, or were they suppressed? And how do you experience shame? Shame is like one of those emotions that really robs you, whereas guilt is when you've done something wrong and you can make amends or you can learn from it. Shame is different because it says there's something wrong with you, and that's why it's so damaging, because unlike guilt where you can do something to repair it or to learn from it, shame says there's nothing that can be done, and that's why shame is so damaging, which I think is a really good way to think about it. And it asks, where do you stop yourself? Where do you freeze when you think about uncomfortable feelings? What makes you feel uncomfortable? And then this week was reflection on dissolution, talking about the alchemical process. And talking about dream imagery and our relationship to the unconscious. So asking questions like, where do you shut down your feelings? What do you associate with being unconscious? And who do you share your true feelings with, and who do you hide it from? And are there things that you think are too painful to look at, things you shove down into your subconscious? And it says that when we don't acknowledge things, they can control us. Those feelings, those things can control us because we're too busy shoving them down rather than dealing with them and integrating with them, which is why shadow work is so important, because we're integrating those things into our lives and making sense of them. And what do you do when you feel like you're overwhelmed and drowning? How do you take care of yourself? What do you allow yourself to do, and what do you not allow yourself to do? And then also, are there memories where you never tell anyone? Are there things you never talk about to people? So really interesting kind of things. A lot of heavy work this past few weeks, thinking about stuff like childhood, early childhood things, the subconscious, your feelings. Next week, it's work with the sacral chakra. So I'll be talking about that one a little more in depth, just because I had to kind of go through these weeks a little bit quickly. But definitely, I would recommend this book if you're interested in doing, getting into shadow work, even sort of dipping your toe in, or doing any self-development from a spiritual perspective, because there's a lot of self-help books out there, but not all of them kind of take this wheel of the year and spirituality, especially more goddess-type spirituality into account. So I do recommend this book, and like I said, next week we'll be working with week 11. So I'll see you next time. Bye.